Welcome back, everybody. I got a really exciting video for you today. We are going to talk to one of my clients, Katie, who recently got an offer for a senior PM position at a company that she's super excited about. She got the offer only 9.5 weeks after joining our coaching program. So that is super impressive, especially if you consider the stats that most people right now are taking between 12 to 15 months to land a new role if they search on their own. So this is also the reason I got her on the call today so that we can talk a little bit more about her story, her experience in the program, as well as how she actually made the decision to join us in the first place. All right. Okay. So let's dive straight in.
I'm Katie Canapero. I am a product manager. I've been in product for over 12 years now. My background is mostly in SaaS and connected devices. Most recently, I've been at Walmart leading inbound exceptions strategy there. Walmart recently had a return to office initiative centered in Arkansas. So that is the reason that I started looking for a new job. I was not able to relocate my family to Arkansas, hence why I joined the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Remind me, how long were you at Walmart for?
A little over 3 years.
Okay, got it. And if it wasn't for the return to office mandate, then you would have stayed with them, right?
I loved working for Walmart. It was a great company. I was sad to not be able to implement some of the things that I had going in the pipeline.
And then I remember when you came to us, you were still with Walmart, right? So you didn't wait until you were out of a job already and then looked or anything. You were thinking ahead, right?
Correct. Yep. Yeah, I think it was back in May, and
Mm.
I was working with Walmart through July. But back in May, I turned on my open to work on LinkedIn just to
Yeah.
kind of get feelers out there, see what was out there. I
Yeah.
knew that I wasn't going to accept anything until end of July because the severance package from Walmart was pretty good. So I wanted to stay until the end of my time there. But I had heard that the job market was really tough, so I wanted to kind of start exploring early.
Yeah. And what was your experience when you started switching on your profile to open to work?
I was surprised because when I did that 3 years ago, when I joined Walmart, I had recruiters reaching out to me left and right, like right away, and a lot of interviews lined up just from inbound leads.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then when I turned on Open to Work this time, it was like almost no inbound leads. I got a couple that were completely off base, unrelated, um,
Yeah.
and not much that was applicable. I think I talked to one recruiter about a consulting role and decided that consulting wasn't for me. But yeah, it was just surprising that I was like, wow, I think I'm actually gonna have to do some work here in this market.
Yeah.
I saw a few jobs that I applied to. I think maybe I applied to like 10 before I joined the program, and I
Yeah.
had only heard back from one. And it
Got-
wasn't for an interview. They wanted me to join the product council, they called it, or something. I think it was like to have everybody compete for this role.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
So yeah,
interesting.
it was disheartening at the beginning.
Totally. So were there any specific challenges that you were facing before you joined the program?
Yeah, that was, I guess, the biggest thing there when applying for those roles and not getting any feedback at all.
Yeah.
Just getting interviews was really tough because when I can interview, I'm good at interviewing and usually it leads to a job offer, but it's just getting those interviews I was struggling with because I was applying and not getting calls back. The worst part was a lot of companies don't even reply anymore with a rejection. They just don't
Yeah.
reply at all.
They
You're
go-
like in limbo forever. I
Yeah.
still have some that I applied to in May I haven't received a response to at all.
Yeah. You may still receive them in like October.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I keep hearing from clients as well, that rejection is bad, but that's not even as bad as getting ghosted or just not
Yeah,
hearing back at
exactly.
all because you just don't know. Did someone even read it? Am I not suited or any feedback?
And I'm not one of those people that goes out there and applies to 100 jobs because they have product in the title. I
Yeah.
selected like 10 jobs that I was qualified for. I knew I was a
Yeah.
good. So to not hear back was, like I said, disheartening. At the,
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I'm curious though, because that was after 10 selected applications that you've only heard back from one. And then you discovered the program, and then we already started talking. Some people literally, I talked to them and they might have applied to 200 places
oh,
already. Yeah.
wow.
And there's some part of them that wants to keep trying it more on their own. But then when I talk to them, I can tell that, and sometimes they tell me that openly as well, that they want to keep trying, basically, with
Yeah,
hope that maybe something still works out. So based off that, yours was pretty quick, so to say, your
yeah.
decision in terms of, hey, I might need some edge here, I might need a bit of support here. That decision, that realization is pretty quick if I compare it to other candidates that I see there. So what was your rationale behind that? What was your thoughts behind that? Why didn't you kept trying, for like 200 more applications?
Yeah, so I guess it was just the financial piece of it. It was an investment in the program, but every month that I go without a job is another month that I'm making only $875 max a week in unemployment versus my potential salary. And every week is a week that I have my husband's super expensive insurance. So I don't want to keep trying for months to to
Yeah.
get a job, because that investment pays off if I get a job 2 months sooner, like it pays
Yeah.
for itself, you know? So that was my rationale. And then just the help with salary negotiations. And we even able to make it up that way too. So to me, it was like, yeah, if this helps me get a job sooner and potentially increase my salary, then
Mm.
why not give it a shot?
Totally. Yeah. That's really wise. I think some people, they understand the rationale, but somehow they don't quite, I don't know whether it's like not believing it or not internalizing it, because the calculations, especially for folks who are in between jobs, where it's very clear that they are bleeding time and money.
Yeah.
So the calculation is just like, there is no guarantee either way, but it's about probability, right? Are you going to be better off with an expert or a team of experts who are doing this all day, every day? Or are you going to do this thing by yourself, even though you haven't done it for like 10 years?
Exactly. There's a lot of value in having to do all that research yourself and figure it out. And tons of people post on LinkedIn with tips and advice, but you have to filter through what's good and what's bad and do a lot of research, spend a lot of time on that. I had a job too, so I wasn't like
That's true.
all that time.
Totally. And all this advice on YouTube, LinkedIn, those free advice, it's never really catered towards you specifically. It's like for anyone who feels like it could resonate with them. And so you never know, like, is that a good advice for me personally, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Also, I had a career coach from Walmart. They had paid for a career coach, but how are they going to give you a coach that's making 80 grand a year and never done what you do to help you get a job in product and make,
yeah.
200 a year, whatever it is? Yeah. And that's a really good point. And
Yeah.
honestly, there was not a lot of value add from that service that they provided. So even though I had a career coach, it wasn't the right career coach.
That's
Yeah.
another thing I actually see often as well, that people use the free resource that they have. And I used to have them too at Google. We had a lot of free career coaching, leadership coaching services. And I think I tried 6 and I found one that was pretty good. And for the other 5, I wasted my time basically, because even if it was nothing, you still pay with your time.
I felt like I had to meet with them weekly, even though I was like, yeah, I don't need to practice behavioral questions anymore. I get it. I'm really good at I know. This is not what I need help with.
Yeah. Did you ever think in terms of checking out other options first, do a lot of comparison and shopping before you made the decision?
No, I didn't, to be honest. I wasn't looking at other career coaches. I had used one in the past, but it was more for rewriting my resume. Back in the day, she was super helpful. She did a great job, but things have changed since then. And honestly, the way Coach Nils rewrote it was even better than what she did. And
Yeah.
also helped me with my most recent experience, because I
Yeah.
had things on there like, I saved $80 million in this category or whatever. And he was like, at Walmart, that's not very impressive. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. Like, it's the scale. Say you reduce it by 3 times or whatever, that's much more impactful. And I was like, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point. It's just like thinking about things a different way.
It really depends on the context. I mean, it's the same story in the end.
Exactly.
It's not like we can make up a new experience or something. You are still,
Yeah.
your achievements are the same, but it's really about like, how do we package it, right? In a context that just makes it wow, instead of like, oh, okay, that looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say are some of the specific problems that the program helped you solve?
Yeah. So that was a big one. For the job that I got, I actually cold applied for it. And if I wouldn't have had Coach Neil's help with my resume, I may not have even gotten an interview. So I think the resume revision was a big piece that really helped me. He also helped me with my LinkedIn profile. So that's much better. As soon as he helped me with that, I started getting a lot more inbound leads. And they were actually the right inbound leads. I think one of the issues that I had before was I had some skills on there from old jobs that weren't really applicable anymore. So I would get leads for random things like product marketing more so than like a tech product role.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the advice there really helped me out too. And then honestly, just having the people in the group with us, like the other product managers, being able to connect with them and just have somebody that's going through it with you too was really helpful. The other thing was the advice about posting on LinkedIn. I was doing this myself. I would have maybe done an open to work post and that's it. Like I never would have posted content or anything out there.
Yeah, I actually remember that part before
Yeah.
on this call. I was like, oh, yeah, Katie did a bit of content with us too. And before that, you weren't doing content, right?
Oh, not at all. It scared me. It scared me to post content, but I'm glad I did because I do feel like it helped get a lot more visibility to my profile. I think the first time I posted, a recruiter at Netflix even looked at my profile and I was like, whoa, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Not
Totally.
that I would want to work at Netflix, but it's still cool.
Yeah, it travels so far, especially if you have an interesting background already. That in combination with having something to say. There's a lot of people out there who are very noisy and they don't actually have that much to say, you know?
Yeah, they just say the same thing over and over in a different way.
Yeah, 100%. So when I look at some of my amazing clients, including folks like yourself, I always think, oh my God, I want you guys to get out there, get your voice out, get your opinions and thoughts out there. And I really love seeing it as well, because I think there's a certain transformation happening from that as well, because then they start seeing the traction. And it's not just a transactional thing where you see the traction, but then you do feel like, oh, okay, I should say those things. Not everybody knows those things. Not everybody has those thoughts. Yeah,
And even commenting on other people's posts too, like thought leaders. And
100%.
you
Yes.
could see people starting to even engage with my comments. And I was like, wow, this is working.
Yeah. Which is also why I always believe that once you get the hang of it, of the things that we do in the program, it really doesn't just set you up for the next role. I mean, obviously that's what we're targeting, but some of it is really setting you up for a few more jobs down the road in the future. Whenever you are looking for a job again, basically, you might still want to join a program just so that you don't walk through it alone, but
Yeah.
understand now the mentality, what you need to do in terms of the rebrand and all these things.
I would say another big piece of it too was just helping with my confidence. Like I do have a lot of good experience, over 12 years of experience, but for some reason I just always, oh, I don't know, I can't do that. Like I
Yeah,
feel like I'm not there. I
yeah.
need a confidence boost to help. So you guys, you specifically helping me reframe my view of myself and help me position myself the way that would land jobs. I really helped.
Yeah, totally. And I think that view, that length jobs, like you said, is really that view where you go there, you own the room, and you are really focused on trying to help them. It's not like you're trying to sell anything. That's not it. Because people always come to me and say, like, I need you to help me to sell myself. I was like, it's not about you selling yourself, because that would be hard. And I don't actually specialize in that, but I do specialize in bringing the best out of you and for you to really go to those interviews and come from a place of service, like really trying to see what is your problem and what keeps you up at night and how am I the best person to help you with that. And maybe I'm not, but I'm going to try my best to help you. And then let's take it from there. And
Right.
right.
Not just selling something, like selling yourself. You have to be authentic about it. And if you really are being authentic and positioning yourself in the best way, I feel like it allows you to interview so much better.
Yeah. I mean, you are also natural though, because you came in, you took on the advice, you ran with it. And I remember specifically that I think one of your strengths is that you also set very clear boundaries from the start. So even in our first conversation, we were talking about where you might want to be. And there are a number of hot brands that you were saying straight away, I don't think I align with them. I'm not going to apply, right? And I have a lot of respect for that, to be honest, because a lot of people come in and think, wow, if they're part of FANG, then yes, that's what I
Yeah.
want to see myself.
Yeah.
You specifically said no, like this one and that one, and that's it. And then you also describe what you care about in terms of work-life balance. And I think these things, most people think that it would actually make their options smaller, reduces their opportunities. But I do think that it actually gets you to the finishing line much quicker.
Yeah, I
You just
agree.
cut out the noise. Yeah.
Yep.
And you just came in and took on a bunch of advice and just implement that. I think the Real might be the first company that you went to interview in the program, or did you go to another one? I mean, that's the one that I remember most clearly.
I think it might have been because I may have had a couple of recruiter calls, but never decided to move forward with the
Yeah.
hiring manager. So yeah, I think it was the first one where I actually did the full interview process.
I actually look at the time when you joined, and it's when the time you joined, and then the day when you told me I got an offer was like 9.5 weeks. That's really, really fast for this market. Yeah, that's amazing. That's a really incredible achievement for this market, because the stats is still true that most people, if they just try it on their own, it takes them 12 months. And for some, even 15 months, depending on what they're doing.
That's sad.
It's really sad. And many of them are highly competent as well. So it's really sad. So anyway, for you, it's 9.5 weeks though. And I was like, whoa, super impressive. Let's celebrate that. But tell us a little bit more about that, where you are at right now after that 9.5 weeks.
Yeah, so I just accepted an offer from The RealReal for a senior product manager role. I'm super excited about it. We started in early July, so it's been about a month since my first interview with the hiring manager. And me and her hit it off like right off the bat. We had a lot in common. She was an Ohio State graduate. I grew up in Ohio. Just like personal things in addition to related things. And I think part of what helped me is just their mission really resonated with me, and I was able to communicate how I could add value in, I guess, a way that really resonated with them because my parents owned a children's resale boutique growing up. And so I spent my nights and weekends learning about the value of giving items a second life and the trust that it takes to do that well. And so that's kind of the story that I told throughout my interviews. And the VP of product, she told the recruiter that it was the best PM interview she ever had. So that made me feel really good. But it's a new space for me. I don't have B2C experience. I don't have a lot of AI and ML experience. And a lot of this role is centered around that. So I think the engineers that I interviewed with had some concerns, and there was a lot of back and forth between them to make sure they were hiring the right person, because they had a lot of other candidates with a ton of experience in the AI and ML space. And then there's me, who's
Yeah.
like, you know, really
Yeah.
passionate about it, lots of background in the cross-functional leadership and the sustainability piece and resale and all that. So I think I ended up in a really good spot with the RealReal. But again, if I hadn't started this, I may not have been as confident with sharing where I was at salary-wise and been able to maximize that if I wasn't part of the program and didn't have that confidence boost.
Totally. So the story that you just shared is something where I prepare people specifically for that. I say, okay, so when you come in, find a personal story that truly connects you to it. Don't just say, oh, because you guys are doing great things and the mission is great and all these things, because that's all too generic, right? Say
Right.
something that is actually personal and that connects to the mission or to the problem statement. So I have to teach them that, but we never had that conversation. So that is just you. I don't know whether you might have also watched some of the videos we have in the back end and it might have helped as well, but it sounded like you just literally have that because you're being authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And that's literally it. Just be authentic, and then those stories will come naturally because, of course, you're going to connect the two. Why not? You know,
Right.
it's real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I told the recruiter too, like, I was just super passionate about this specific role and this specific company, and the mission really resonated with me for XYZ reasons. The other companies I was interviewing with, it was hard for me to find that personal connection. I still did. I was interviewing with a company that does technology for first responders, and my brother-in-law is an NYPD detective. So I linked those two together, but still I wasn't feeling it like I was this role. So I think it's just like when you find the right thing, it's a pretty good connection there to it, at least for me.
And by the way, it's incredibly hard in this market to get a role where you haven't done exactly the thing that they do for like decades. Like when it's switched, it's like a whole different space for you. It's B2C, it's a lot of AI and ML that you have done before, but not the full implementations of it. So it's a brand new space. You don't know the other ones, but you are, I promise. And they also said that you were competing with people who have done that at a very similar place, maybe even the competitor or something.
Mhm.
And so you were literally competing with those folks, but you got the offer. And I can't stress enough of like how incredible that is. And that really speaks for you, really, your performance there, how you connected with them, how you really help them see, not just they like you, it's not just that, but also how you really help them see that you would still be the best, even though you didn't have those experiences that others do. And in this market, people are so risk averse. So it doesn't actually happen that often at all. And so it's really incredible.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people struggle because they don't prep for interviews. They just kind of go in and they have a couple star stories, but it's the same for every interview that they have, and they just pick a couple to talk about. But I think a part of prep should really be trying to tie those back to what they might ask. Like if you're interviewing with a director of operations, what might they ask? What stories would apply there that resonate with them and that answer questions that they care about? You know?
Totally. I do think that people don't take it seriously enough. I feel a bit bad saying that, but I do think that what they want, and then when I see what they do, sometimes the behavior doesn't really align. So, and I know that because when I was at YouTube, actually, a bunch of my friends who were interested in working at YouTube, they were asking me in terms of like, hey, how did you prepare for the interview there? And can you send me some notes that you used when you prepared? I said, sure. And I sent them like basically a folder.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like shocked. And the market was great back then. So I didn't have to do it, but I've always taken it very seriously.
Yeah.
So they would have like some notes on a napkin or something. So when they saw my folder, they were just like, oh my God, I didn't realize it's such a big deal. And I said, well, I mean, it is a big deal if it is a big deal for you. It's always a big deal for the company because it's a very costly decision if they get it wrong. And I think that mind shift, oftentimes when I see clients joining, they all say that they want to end up with something soon and something good soon and things like that. But then the behavior sometimes doesn't match. So
Yeah.
some designers, I literally, chase them after 2 months. They're like, have you updated your portfolio?
Oh, no.
You do have to do your part as well. So like you said, you do have to sit down and think about, okay, how does it really align? What is this person possibly want to know since they're an engineer, since they're from operations and so on. And if you're not sure, that's what we are there for, right? In terms of like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to interview with this person. Any thoughts? I think it's definitely part of being prepared. That also gives you more confidence as well when you go into it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Mhm.
So, Katie, what advice would you give someone who is still considering to join the program?
I would say when I had made the decision to join, to me, I'm a very rational person. I guess it depends on the type of person, but the numbers speak to me. So if you tell me like this is how much it costs, this is how much I'm losing every month by not having a job,
Yeah.
to me it's like a no-brainer. Plus, I find a lot of value in that social piece of it and just not going through something alone. It's already kind of isolating, like being at a job where you're going to not be working there anymore and you're like handing off your work and not really part of a team anymore, not feeling part of a team. And I'm sure when you don't have a job, it's even harder. So having that social piece again, where you have people on the same team with you, rooting for you and going through the journey together, there's a ton of value in that. To me,
Yeah, totally.
like I said, even if somehow you do find a job offline, that resume and LinkedIn profile that are optimized now, if you ever need it down the road, there's a ton of value in that too. So if
Yeah,
people are thinking like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna find a job myself, I don't need this. Still, like those services make a ton of difference.
totally.
And just positioning yourself in general,
Yeah.
doing that piece first, because when you tell your story, sometimes you don't even realize the common themes in it. You know what I mean? That you should be positioning yourself with. So I think that those pieces were really helpful for me.
Yeah, totally. I always say to folks as well that even the best writers do need an editor, because even for those best writers, when the editor looks at it, it's still like a bunch of parts where it's like, hey, this part just doesn't make sense, and this is a repetition from something, this one doesn't have a clear conclusion, especially when it's about yourself.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly hard to actually step in that and then do any modifications.
Yep. Yep. Definitely.
Amazing, Katie. Yeah, that's all I have. Just between you and me, I just want to thank you for being such an amazing client and just an amazing person, really, to work with. I'm really glad I had a chance to know you, meet you, work with you. And once we've worked together, you are part of our alumni. I'm just really happy that our path crossed and I had the privilege to work with you. You're an amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for everything. I feel like I'm in a much better place now, positioning myself for the future. Even if something happens with this job at the Real Real, or it's just time to move on in a couple years, I feel like I have the skills now and I'd be ready to find something new if that happened to come along. So
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, you're totally ready. You can join us back for some content part when
Yeah.
you're totally ready. Yeah. All right, Katie, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And like I said, so we're going to keep you as alumni in the community. And if there's ever anything, just feel free to reach out to us and then we see how we can support you.